I'd like to call the regular meeting.
Testing.
You talking about
Testing. Testing.
what's coming through?
Are we ready? Ready to
Still
go?
a little bit of an echo, but
All right, shall we give this a go? Maybe it's a little bit of an echo. What do you want to do?
It has to record though.
just use your house.
It's not hard for me.
Okay, so we're ready to resume?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for your patience as we have audio difficulties. Commissioners, any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, this is an opportunity next on our agenda for a public request. If you wish to address the commission, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. First victim.
Hello, Sil Ciliberti, 6100 Northwest 2nd Avenue. I'm standing here on behalf of a minimum of 8 owners. And I would love to see the Boys and Girls Club facility located on North Park. I see a lot of the youths here today. Talking about going from 4,000 to 25,000 square feet, which is more than 6 times the size and doubling the occupation of youths. And my question is, how are you going to get them there? 2nd Avenue, Second Avenue is a single lane. It was designed by the Boca Chica developers years ago. If you notice, there are 13 banyans, beautiful trees in the middle of the road to keep it single occupancy lane. It wasn't an accident. That's the only banyans there. They made it so it couldn't be developed. It's Second Avenue. It's not Dixie Highway. It's not Federal Highway. There's a reason that it's an avenue. You're talking about it already being congested, and it's going to adversely affect every owner in Boca Chica. It's already jammed with traffic. So I would really like, if the mothers and fathers and everyone loves the kids and all, you're creating a potential dangerous situation, because traffic jams and kids and running around and mothers and buses. Really think about where you're going to put this facility. 25,000 square feet. It's already serving, I think, 4 schools. You're talking about a disaster, a real nightmare traffic disaster. I don't want to be a NIMBY, not in my backyard, but really, you really got to think of where the location is. And I'm asking to really carve out another spot for this tremendous facility that's they outgrew it. So already, there's a lot of demand. There's going to be more people, a lot more. And years to come, there's going to be more and more and more. What are you going to rip out the 13 banyan trees and have this, traffic disaster that will just make double lanes and all this? It really goes to, if there's a traffic study and it passes, there's something wrong with the traffic study. I'm all for having this youth and expanding. We have 212 acres, I think, in North Park. Please carve out a place that can be accessible and not affect adversely every single Boca Raton resident in Boca Chica. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary O'Connor, and I'm with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Palm Beach County. And I want to just talk a little bit about why we want to move from a 4,000 square foot to a much larger facility. As this gentleman pointed out, the current facility limits our ability to serve kids. We are limited to 97 young people a day. The new facility would allow us to expand services so that we not only serve younger children, but we have the capacity to serve the teenagers throughout this community. And there are statistically more than 1,000 kids who live within 1 mile of the proposed site. So 1 mile, including Boca Chica, and including the kids who live right around this community who need our services. So some of the concerns of this gentleman, first of all, we do provide services so that the kids come to our location via a bus. And so you have several buses coming a day. You don't have 200 cars coming into the facility after school every day. And we are open until 8 o'clock in the evening. And so the pickup in the evening is really spread out over several hours. So at any of our other facilities, we really have not seen the issue that this gentleman is concerned about. And we will, do everything we can to make sure that we provide the kinds of services that attract kids, all kids throughout the community. The need is not just in this community, but across this country is incredible for parents because an after-school program or a summer program will cost anywhere from $6,600 a year to $16,000 a year. And statistically, about 65% of the young people throughout Boca are on free and reduced lunch. Right now, about 30% of the families within just a 1 mile radius of this club are living of a household income of about $50,000 or less a year. So if you're making $50,000 a year, you are not capable of providing $6,000 or $16,000 for an after-school program. So the need for the kids in this community is tremendous. And what we provide is a safe haven so that those young people are not going home alone where they are afraid and at risk. And they're also not out on the streets doing things that maybe they shouldn't be doing, because juvenile crime spikes right after school until 8 o'clock in the evening, exactly the hours when we want to provide services so kids have a safe haven where they can learn and grow and become productive and responsible adults. So right now, 65%, of our parents, we're just going to give you one little statistic, 65% of our parents say that the programs out there are way too expensive. And so what we're trying to provide at $30 a year is a program that doesn't turn anyone away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. My name is Pablo Tejada. I'm also with the Boys and Girls Club. I wanted to just highlight some of the amazing programs that we're going to bring to this facility. First and foremost, to address what Mary pointed out, I think only 47% of the kids in this community are reading at proficiency, math and reading. So one of the most essential services that we provide is academic enrichment and literacy work. And we double down on a lot more than just the sports and arts. We provide STEM activities, STEM programming. We focused on character and leadership. So we'll have a lot of young people, plus their families, plus our partners doing service in the community, giving back to the community in many ways. We also do a lot of family support. We work with a lot of partners around mental health, around hunger relief. And for our teens, we provide several opportunities for them to actually work at the club, work in their community, partner with the local businesses so that they're involved in their community in multiple ways and learning how to work as well as earn a sustainable wage during high school and beyond. We hire a lot of our alums to come back into the community. And in terms of sports, we provide a lot of skills and drills. We don't believe that we're going to make athletes. We want to make sure kids of all ages, of all grades, get the opportunity to learn as many sports as possible so they understand the whole essence of sportsmanship, learning how to lose with grace, working in teams, which is really, really important. By the way, to Mary's point, I sat in front of the facility, the space. There's several buses from the local community that drop their kids right there. We actually, for all of our locations, rely on those same buses that are coming up and down that street that ultimately will bring the kids to us, in addition to our buses picking up the kids. So all of our locations, I think that's always been a concern. Traffic has never been an issue at any of our locations. More importantly, I just want to talk about one of our most important programs is the summer camp. It's probably the most essential for working parents. Imagine having to leave your kids at home for 7, maybe 10 hours, unattended, unsupervised. Well, we provide that coverage. They get to come to us from 7 to almost 6 p.m. We provide breakfast, we provide lunch, a snack, and a whole sort of activities for them to be engaged and not fall into what they call the academic slide. Kids that don't attend summer camp sometimes lose a year to 2 years because they're not reading, they're not engaged. A critical service I know that the Boca residents and the Boca businesses will appreciate because they want young citizens to actually be involved in their community. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I might, none of the speakers have given their address of record, so we're going to need to, if I'm correct, we're going to need to collect that information from them.
We'll add it to the minutes.
We'll add that to the minutes. Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Art Turple, 19155 Fairlawn Way, Boca Raton. On the agenda today is a discussion about the hockey rink at Sugar Sand. First off, you all know how much we appreciate what you're doing and helping this to go forward. And also, I think that the fact that you have done such a wonderful job looking at this process, the staff bringing in what I thought was 5 excellent companies that could build this thing, and their proposals and what they were to build were all good. But I think you decided on one, which was, I have no problem with. I think it was great. And I appreciate, as a taxpayer, as someone in the community, trying to keep the costs of these is reasonable and as low as possible. As you know, we've got a lot of skin in the game because this isn't the only project. You've got several projects coming up, Spanish River, the field house that impacts us also. So every dollar that's spent now may or may not be available down the road. So we want to save the money where we can. But based on the information that you're going to talk about later, I've got to tell you, taking this building and making it smaller is wrong. It is the wrong decision to do. The purpose of this building is to cover that space, to keep as much water out, rain out. And you did a wonderful job at Patchery for those of us who play pickleball there. I played last week and it poured, and yet we only lost 2 courts because of the width of the coverage on it. So I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, please do not. It's less than 3.5% of the cost of the entire project to keep that where it is. And then also I see on here, look, you don't want to take the galvanized steel out of here. This is South Florida, and yeah, you're going to save $191,000, but you're going to spend it painting that metal every other year by taking the galvanized out. So please, you've got a great project. You brought the people in, you interviewed them, you talked to them, the staff researched it. Everything was right. You've got a great project. Please don't change it. I understand we collectively want to save money, but let's not be penny wise and pound foolish. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tex Guinard, T-E-X, Guinard, G-U-I-G-N-A-R-D. I live at 201 Northeast 31st Street, Boca Raton, 33431. And I am speaking in regards to the Boys and Girls Club financial report decision. So I got a little thing prepared. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tex Guinard. I speak to you tonight, not just as a resident, but as someone who grew up in the foster care system, as a parent, as a foster parent. For the last 4 years, I have been a part of the Boys and Girls Club community, and I have seen single-handedly the transformation it brings. I know from the inside out that when a Boys and Girls Club exists, children thrive. I see it in my own children's development. They aren't just occupied after school. They are in a sanctuary. They are with mentors who care. They are getting hot meals. They are surrounded by people who love and protect them. For a child, especially one in the foster system, that stability isn't a luxury, it's everything. We've heard concerns about new location, but I want to speak for the parent who can't be at this podium tonight because they are working long hours to provide. This club is their lifeline. It allows them to work knowing their children aren't just safe, but they are being cultivated into the leaders of tomorrow. By placing this club here in this neighborhood, we are removing the barrier of distance and transportation that keeps help away from the families who need it most. When people say not in this location, what they're really saying to our children is you don't belong here. Our children deserve to know they matter. They deserve to know that their community, their neighbors, value their safety more than a quiet street or a vacant lot. They deserve to know that they have a future and they deserve an environment that seeks to cultivate that future right where they live. I'm asking that the council to remember that this building is a message. Let's send a message of hope, not a message of not in my backyard. Please approve this location and let's give our children the home they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Robert Ducate, 5351 Northwest 3rd Terrace. First of all, I want to thank you for buying the North Park property and preserving the green space. I'd like to point out it's time for the district to build the golf course and start bringing in revenue. Palm Beach County makes millions of dollars off their golf courses, especially the ones in West Boca, which actually provides funding for all the rest of their budget. These golf courses are often closed in the summer due to rain that happens a lot more frequently out west than it does to the east, which would be beneficial for this location. This is a model the district should follow and not do a 3P, as Palm Beach County has a manager for their golf courses and not a 3P. They get the revenue that they use. The golf course layout is already there, and replacing the irrigation and the turf is all that's needed to get things going. Check with Palm Beach County on the vendors that they recently used for their improvements in their courses. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. We've heard from Greg Galanis of the Men's Golf League that there's already a need in Boca, and this course would be easier than the current course. So again, the executive course that was not replaced when the other course was sold was not replaced. So there is a demand that needs to be fulfilled. First and foremost, protect the green space and open space that were the top priorities in the district assessment. Also, I oppose any 3Ps which directly challenge the intent of the Special Taxing District Authority, which prevents the leasing, selling, or conveyance of district property, claiming that a concession agreement is allowed since it is not titled a lease. This certainly doesn't make sense to me, and it clearly is inconsistent with the intent of the enabling legislation. Lastly, are you aware that 75% of Boca voters opposed the private-public partnership that was proposed for public property in the city of Boca? Obviously, the residents are opposed to using public property for private purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duquette.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I might, Mr. Duquette, Mr.
Steve,
Duquette.
Steve, I'm leaving out of order.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We'll wait.
Sorry.
Good evening. I'm Brendan Isaac, the 2026 Youth Leader for Boca Raton Boys and Girls Club, 5301 Northwest 2nd Avenue.
Sir, you're very
5301
soft-spoken.
Northwest
We
2nd
love hearing you,
Avenue.
but could you speak up a little louder, please? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's on.
5301 Northwest 2nd Avenue.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, everyone. I mentioned that I'm the 2026 Youth of the Year for Boca Raton Boys and Girls Club. I'm a junior attending Boca Raton Community High School. It is a pleasure to stand here before you this evening, but honestly, I never would have been able to speak with the confidence if it wasn't for the Boca Raton Boys and Girls Club. It is pretty noticeable that I am tall, and usually the first thought that comes to mind when when you see me is that I'm a basketball player. But the club taught me that I'm more than just a basketball player. I'm a scholar who has a 4-year college scholarship as a junior in high school. My peers and I are grateful for the club, and honestly, more teams could feel the same way if we had more space. Thank you for listening.
Hello, Nicole Cohen, 5650 Camino del Sol, apartment 302. I'm a proud Boys and Girls Clubs alumni. When I was just about 10 years old, my parents divorced right before summer break. My mom was working full time and couldn't afford traditional summer camps, so she enrolled my brother and me in the Boys and Girls Clubs. That decision changed my life. At the club, I found a safe, fun, and supportive place to spend my summer days. I remember the field trips, the laughter, the caring staff, and all the friendships that lasted well beyond childhood, including one with a girl named Tori, who still remains one of my friends 20 years later. The club gave my mom peace of mind, knowing her kids were safe and cared for while she worked to provide for us. It gave me confidence, opportunity, and belonging, things every child deserves. Fast forward to today, I've come full circle. For the past 6 years, I've had the privilege for working for Boys and Girls Clubs of Palm Beach County, where I now serve as Senior Director of Development, helping raise funds that make programs like this possible for the next generation. Because of my experience, I know firsthand how powerful these spaces can be in shaping young lives. That's why I respectfully ask you to consider the impact that a new facility could have on children and families in our community. For many kids, the club is more than just a place to go after school. It's a safe place, a support system, and sometimes the one place where they truly feel like they belong. I'm seen here as someone whose life was changed by the Boys and Girls Clubs, and I hope future generations of children in Boca Raton will have the same opportunity. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hi there, Michael Kiefer, 5885 Northwest 40th Terrace. I moved to Boca Raton from Miami about 5 years ago, and I always wanted to be involved with my community. One of the first tours I took was of the Boys and Girls Club of Boca Raton. And what really set me apart and what got to me was how small the club was, how overcrowded it was, how old the club looked, and how our kids were having to be shuffled from room to room to meet the quota so that we didn't have too many kids in one room at one time. They lacked a safe space to play outside. I just left that tour saying, I got to do something about it. I like to build, I like to create. I believe Boca Raton is the best city in this county, and I want us to have the best club for our kids. I know there's a concern for overdevelopment, but this is not overdevelopment. This is development. We must distinguish between the two. It is our duty to provide resources for this growing community and to have a place for our working class to have a safe space for their children. We want our kids off the streets and on the courts. The land that we're asking for, it's not for a developer, it's for our children and for our community, and I ask that you pass. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elise Fallon. I am on the Boca Advisory Board. My address is 3101 South Ocean Boulevard, Highland Beach. You've heard from everyone just how important this new club is to the kids of Boca Raton. As you state here, we want to build a better community. These kids are part of our community. We have an opportunity here that very few people, very few counties have, which is just banding together and having a tremendous impact on the lives of hundreds, thousands of kids over the years. The time is now. That property is perfect. Where we are right now is too small, as Michael mentioned, 4,000 square feet. We mentioned summer programs and how important summer programs are. Well, summer programs, when it gets very hot outside, and we usually in those times get a few more than 100 because we have the outdoor patio area. When we have that though, when it rains or it overheats, when it rains, our kids are stumbling over each other inside of our facility. We're better than that. We're also with education. I don't believe that we've really spoken about that enough, or that we speak about that enough in general. Our kids come from the school systems. They are taught in our programs every day during the school year and then in the summer by certified teachers who are coordinating with the teachers in their public school to try to improve the proficiency in English and in math. We are also working with the community. We have a lot of ties with the Florida Atlantic University and with Lynn University. And as a board, we are working to continue to build those ties with the community. So I hope you will, help us with this and really create an incredible impact for children in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Allie Hanna. I live at 333 Burn Street, West Palm Beach. I'm the SEL coordinator at our club. I work with the kids with their social emotional learning skills. I provide programs such as Smart Moves, Rebound and Recovery, and provide therapy with our local therapists for our members that need extra support. In the short time I've worked at club, I've seen the impact that my work does. I've seen the kids run up to me every day. Miss Allie, will you pull us? They love the programs that we provide for them. And additionally, we provide more programs besides social emotional learning. We provide Boca Ballet, T-ball, pickleball. The teens have so many field trips. The kids go on local field trips. We provide so many great services for our club. It's amazing for me to come to work every day and get the internal reward of the kids asking to be pulled and wanting hugs. Please help us support the community by bringing this new facility. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jacqueline Anslow. I'm living at 254 Northwest 11th Street in East Boca. I'm here because what's being proposed is not just a land decision, it's a precedent. A 99-year lease on public land is not temporary. That is effectively permanent. That is a generational transfer of control away from the public. And that should never happen quietly, without clear notice, and without overwhelming community support. And residents have already spoken on this issue of overdevelopment, and yet here we are again, right after the election, discussing another version of the same concept. This creates a serious concern of, are we listening to the public, to the residents, or are we trying to outlast them? This land, whether it's Sugar Sand Park or elsewhere, is not just unused space. It's an open space, environmental buffer, and quality of life. Once you trade that for development, even recreational development, you don't get it back. You're also introducing traffic congestion in areas not designed for high volume use, parking overflow and safety risks, especially for families and children, and strain on infrastructure that was never built for this intensity here in Boca. And importantly, you're changing the character of established residential areas without our consent. There are smarter options. If the goal is youth sports, community programming, or partnerships, great. But those should be pursued on appropriately zoned, already impacted land, not by repurposing protected or community designated green space. And if a public-private partnership is being considered, it must be at a higher bar. Full transparency, clear financial benefit to taxpayers, all taxpayers, not just those with children who might use the club, shorter term flexibility, and not a 99-year lockup, and most importantly, true community approval.
To clarify that this will not be a 99-year term that we're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, that's false information that you've been given. Yep.
Thank you, Aaron.
My name is Michael Schneider, 5500 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Boca Raton, Condo 3. Basically, the boys club, I have no problem with having a boys club, boys and girls club. The question is where you put it, all right? I would suggest Spanish River Park, all right? You got plenty of room. The buses would have no problem getting there. The parking lots are big enough. That's where I feel would be the best place. So you have your activities, you got your fields, you can put your building there. I have no problem putting it there. I think it would be the best place to put it. We're in our area, we're more interested in a golf course and a social hall, all right? It would be very tough to bring the buses in our area. As one of the gentlemen said, it's like a one-lane road. Just to get our school buses to pick up the kids, is an event, and when they can pick them up and drop them off. It's not easy, all right? But I'm not against that because, parents have kids. They got to go to school, right? But with the boys club and the girls club, you can put it in some other place. And I think that Spanish River Park is a big place. You can put enough, the building there, you can put the facilities there. It would be great. You could, as one of the people said, one of the gentlemen said, the kids are taught how to read and write, fine. Then they got the activities right there. So the Spanish River Park, to me, would be put the best place, all right? Mr. Engel, you were looking at me last meeting with the final, with about the time things change, this and that. They don't change. We want the golf course. I mean, what you said about the skate park, we don't want it in the past, we don't want it in the present, and we don't want it in the future, all right? We want a golf course and a social hall, that's it. And it's good to see Mr. Rollins back. You're looking good. That's it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the commission this evening? Seeing no one move forward, then I'll close this portion of the agenda. And the minutes are in your packet, commissioners. What say you?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Commissioners, the first order of regular business is in your packet is information regarding the Boys and Girls Club facility and financial information. You recall back in August, a presentation was made and a proposal from the Boys and Girls Club was presented October 2025. And it was decided that we would retain the services of Ford and Associates to take a look in the financials and understand the feasibility of this arrangement. Brian, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I had some photos and just talk about the history. You just covered the dates a little bit. We did get the financial report from Ford and Associates. Back when we did this RFP, we RFP'd everything on the west side and the small parcel on the east side, which used to be a hotel site for the former golf course. So the Boys and Girls Club put together a few pictures so we could look at their current facility and what they're planning to do at North Park, just as a reminder, because it's been a while since we talked about it. This talks about their mission, their vision. I think we heard from them tonight, so we understand that what they're doing in the community is important. I'm not going to read the slides word for word, but they opened in 2004 at Sandpine Park. That was a New Pine Foundation built the building that's there at Sandpine Park right now. It was given to the Boys and Girls Club back in 2004. So they serve Boca Raton Elementary, J.C. Mitchell Elementary, Boca Middle, and Boca High. They're open 51 weeks out of the year, all the school days. This is the current facility, the 4,000 square foot facility that everybody's referencing. It's outdated, obviously, but this is over at Sandpine Park. And here's some images of the rooms inside. The rooms are small, very congested for all the kids that go in there. This is a little kitchen area. Again, these classrooms are small. They have to keep the ages separated. So when they were talking about moving them from room to room, these are the rooms that they're moving them to and from. This is the current facility. This is the outdoor place where they have to set up sports and play. They do use the basketball courts over at Sandpine Park. This is an office. It's also where you meet with parents, and staff meetings and things like that take place in that multipurpose room. This is a room where they do all their programming and put together stuff for what they're doing each day. So this talks about their transportation and the safety that goes into hiring staff and keeping the children safe that are in the program. They provide a lot of different experiences for the kids. They talked, a lot of people talked about that in public comment, so I won't go through it again, but there's a vast variety of programming just to introduce kids to all sorts of different things that they may enjoy doing, including academic enrichment, mental health, getting them prepared for the workforce, and of course, there's food available for the kids. Annual membership is $30. So the proposed location, like I said, is at the old hotel site where you see the blue square. That was where the former hotel was for the golf course. So the new facility would be along this is not the actual facility. They haven't designed it, but this is just an idea, kind of would mimic a little bit of what the Boca Paddle facility looks like. A 25,000 square foot facility. They would have a youth wing, a workforce readiness wing. Shared spaces would be the cantina, the gymnasium, and dance studio and stage. This is a little bit of the site plan to show how it would look from the parking lot area there. And they would make some parking lot improvements as well. Estimated a $16 million project cost. These are this is a look at what some of the spaces would look like. Obviously a lot more spacious because they'll be hosting more children. Lobby. They expect it to run, when I talked to the CEO today, anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million a year in operational costs. Again, these are just some idea of what the rooms will look like. And we're going to look at some of their facilities. She included, this is the workforce readiness, getting kids ready for food preparation and teaching them how to work in, obviously a lot different than the kitchen that they currently have. A gymnasium. And, you know, the key part of this, which there is no agreement that's been negotiated, there's no term that's been negotiated. But the idea would be to get community use of the facilities. We currently only have one gymnasium. So the idea would be to try to get some space here for some of our sports programs as well to use this facility. Right now, they would like to see a 50-year term. That could be renewable if the program was working and benefiting the community, not just those that attend the program, but also outside. This is what their Boys and Girls Club looks like in Delray. These are some of their projects that they've done. This is Riviera Beach. This is in West Palm. Village of Wellington. Belle Glade. Another one in West Palm. And those are just some photos that they provided. So tonight, obviously, as Commissioner Rollins said, we've gone through a process here. We got the financial report from Ford and Associates. Tonight, I'm just looking for direction from the board on how you would like to proceed with this proposal.
Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review the financials and the presentation that we received from the Boys and Girls Club. Greg, I believe you were one of the first ones that promoted this for us consideration. So I'd like to hear your input on this, because as our treasurer, the financial reports probably made more sense to you and depth. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Would you like me to make a motion first, or you want to have discussion?
You may certainly make a motion first.
Okay. Motion to authorize the executive director in coordination with the district legal counsel to begin negotiations with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Palm Beach County regarding the potential development and operation of a Boys and Girls Club facility in North Park, with any negotiated agreement to be presented to the board for final approval.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Ritz. Could I hear a second?
But just as further background.
Hold a second, Craig. Did you second that, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. Seconded by Aaron, right? Go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
As further background, as we evolved at how we're looking for the North Park development, we started with the golf course many years ago. We went to the city. We were rejected on that process of developing it for a golf course. It was in the neighborhood of $25 million to do it correctly.
And then it went down from 20 million to 15 million and still could not get agreement with the city. You know, the hotel site, which is where this is a big empty lot. And it was our one parcel. It was kind of an out parcel, kind of unusual for the east side completely. And it really didn't fit. Again, it was a dilapidated hotel site at the time. So the best use of the hotel site was really for the fire folks to use it as a training ground for a period of time. And then we're encountering our biggest challenges for us as a board is gyms and kind of things that we were looking for for the community, what we need. We have one major gym, Sugar Sand Park. We do not have any other gyms. The Boys and Girls Club kind of solve a lot of problems for everyone. Gyms are made for kids, okay? And for usage of indoor sports, what we really need. North Park does not have that at all. So the Boys and Girls Club, it's amazing to me that you have volunteers willing to serve the community and run a lot of these things. And they have the financial wherewithal to go do this. And they're willing to invest 17 million into it. And that's a significant investment that we don't have to invest taxpayer money into. And it's giving back to the community in its own way. And they run a top tier program. So it's kudos to the staff there who make a difference with every child, everyone out there. And quite frankly, I wish it was bigger, but it's only 1.8 acres. It's a very small site. What else could it be used for? Yes, it absolutely could be used for a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. But you know what? This isn't what we do. We really have a better alignment with kids. And so I think the fact that they're willing to give us the gym on the weekends possibly we'll work that out as part of these negotiations. They use it during the weekdays. We have it on the weekends. That solves a need for our friends in our Boca basketball group. I think it's just a win-win. So from that perspective, it really is a good thing. And it's very unfortunate that was posted on Facebook there's a variety of carefully worded things that were not true. And so it's unfortunate that kind of came out, but that's the way that is. We've been as transparent as we can since this all started for many years. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Craig. And you're so right about the transparency issue. We've discussed this many times at the board and in depth. And I think the financial report, was a good report. There's some things there that, of course, would have to be negotiated. But Erin, would you have any comment?
Yeah, I mean, listening to the speakers and knowing the programs that the Boys and Girls Club provides and the opportunities, being a parent here, growing up here, there's so many families who don't have to worry about what summer camp costs and don't have to worry about leaving their kids after school. But there's so many families that do. And if we can double that, triple that, why wouldn't we work our asses off to see if we can figure out how to do that? That's what we were elected to do, is to work for the community, not build a golf course for the neighborhood that backs onto this property. This property is owned by all the taxpayers, and we need to make sure that we're serving the entire community. So if we can do this and we can make this work, yes, we are going to do a traffic study, or whoever is going to do a traffic study as part of this. This is the very early stages. But if you have to sit in your car for 30 seconds longer because a bus is turning into the Boys and Girls Club, I'm okay with that. And I live just north of here. But obviously we'll work with the city to see if we can do our best and figure that out. But that's part of the development of this project. And as far as the Save Boca 99-year lease, this isn't a lease, it's a concession agreement. And it's not going to be 99 years. Like the Facebook post says. I'm not on Facebook, but have it sent to me. I think a lot of the Save Boca people would look at this differently. It's not a developer that we're working with as a P3. We're working with a non-for-profit that serves underprivileged youth in our community, directly with our community. So if we could do that and we can provide a location for them to be safe after school and safe during the summer, where they're not alone, and not having food and not having to worry about somebody coming to their door or whatever it might be, where they're alone. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we try to figure this out and see if we can make it work on our property? It was an old hotel site. It's not green space. So I'm all for it.
Never would have guessed it. Well said, Aaron. Susan?
I want to thank everyone who came out to give a different perspective to the rest of the community, because our meetings are on YouTube, and hopefully the rest of the community are going to see that there's a need. Maybe the Boca Babes don't know that there's a need for this. I certainly wasn't aware that there was such a need. And I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me. I wasn't. Sorry.
That's it.
So anyway, I'm glad you all came out, and I do think that there's a need, and I think that we need to support you as best we can. Brianne is going to work with you, and there are some caveats that might work out a little bit better as far as community use, so that we have the community and have them able to use it. I do apologize to the lady who left. I was aiming at me as being unaware that there was such a need. And I apologize to my colleagues, because I didn't intend to offend anybody, other than make everybody aware that I wasn't aware that there is such a need in Boca, and I've lived here since 1970. So thank you, Commissioner.
You're very welcome. Commissioner Eagle?
Yes, thank you. And thank all of you for coming out in support of this. I have to say, and with all due respect to the people that, to the lady that spoke, the amount of misinformation that goes out about a 99-year lease on a piece of property that we haven't even discussed yet. With all the misinformation that's out there about everything in this day and age, we don't need to throw more gasoline on that fire. Having said that, this is different than the P3 that the city was considering, and that was voted down. And the reason it's different is, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is zero outlay in advance on the part of the Beach and Park District. The financial responsibility is on the Boys and Girls Club. We stand to benefit, and at no cost to our taxpayers, as opposed to what the city was doing, which the city had to lay out money up front, and the question of benefit was very debatable. Enough said about that. I think this is a great idea. I think there's a need for it. I grew up in a very well-to-do part of New York City, in Queens, and there were still kids there that were in need of a Boys and Girls Club. Back then, it was a boys' club, and my mom's best friend's dad was instrumental in founding the Boys Club of Bayside. So there you go. I'm all in favor of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Ringo. Some eloquent responses, no less, from the commissioners regarding the support for this organization. The one thing that there is a motion that will enter in a moment, but I would just like to address the financial report. There were some things in there that were things that they pointed out that we should investigate, and I understand and can see that the motion is going to go forward favorably. And I would just suggest to the executive director that she take the information in the report that they point out are things that we a little more granular that would help us in our negotiations regarding the Boys and Girls Club. With that said,
I do have, I have some questions, Brienne, and I'm sure that everybody else says, should we all just email you our questions about the financial?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want, I mean, like Commissioner Rollins said, I'd obviously consider the report and the comments that were made by Ford and Associates with their recommendations as we start those negotiations. And then you all will see a draft. It will come back to this board for a vote. The public will see it. Like, we will be very transparent throughout this whole process. So sure, send me any questions you have.
Okay.
That would apply to anyone that might want to do so. I would entertain a motion in this regard. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, we have.
Moved and seconded? Second. Okay, well, the hospital stay was a little bit longer. So Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is the update on a multi-sport rink proposal. And Brienne, when you have some.
Yes, commissioners, we do have a representative here from MBR as well, but we did meet with MBR and we met with their architect engineering firm WZA. We talked about the project. Obviously, it's not been designed fully, so part of that is the design. This is a design build. So we put some potential reductions in there tonight. We're just looking for direction from the board on how you want to move forward. Options are to, take some of these recommendations, not take any of these recommendations, provide more direction on what you want to see.
I'd like to make a motion to move forward as is without the potential reductions. I think they're all necessary. The landscape reductions, if it's not used, can be used for signage if we choose, or we would not use it. But I'd like to move forward with the yes. You're blanket. I wasn't even in the hospital. The original, the original bid amount with MBR.
Second.
Does that include the galvanized?
Yes.
Okay, all
Yes.
right.
I think that's really important, actually. So I'd like to keep that included.
Okay. A motion has been made and seconded. Discussion.
Yes, sir. I guess I'm okay. I like the idea of moving forward with the proposal as is, but I don't like the contingencies that are baked into it. And I'm still trying to understand this bid process and learn the bid process on it. And it just baffles me that if we put a budget together of something, we get back a proposal for exactly that. And then there's contingencies in it. And it's not like a typical business negotiation where you work back and forth and you find the best proposal. You're accepting the proposer's price as is what it is. And Steve, you mentioned that we negotiate these things. It seems like it's more of a contractual negotiation, and then it's a series of change orders after that. So it ends up either at the cost or higher than the cost we estimated. And when we did the round robin with everyone here, I asked them specifically if there was a requirement that was different by the city or something else, who's going to eat that? If we are going to do that. And they all said, no, we will take care of that. That's our responsibility. So they all stood up. This is a design build. We've given them the information. They've come back with uniquely different proposals for every one of them. Love the picture of the proposal. They had some specs. They have some prices in there, a very detailed schedule of things, but there's room to negotiate the price itself down. And so personally, I'd like to see the price lower by 200 to 400,000. And I don't think that's an unreasonable ask because this is a very expensive roof. And going into it, the design was to just do a roof. And if you come back and say, oh, we will give you a $1.5 million roof, that's fine, but it's a totally different bid spec and it's a different process. So I get it. We all agreed conceptually that this is the entity we want to work with. We like their diagrams, we like their pictures on it, but there's really been no negotiating on price other than saying you can take out these things and you'll get a different product. And if you're going to get a different product, then I'd go to a different bid. All four of those proposals to me were very good. You can go to any one of them. So if our friends here at the selected company cannot, they don't like the price discussion, go to the next one. And I would say you go down the list like we're supposed to, because it is about the price. It's a cover. And that's all I was really looking for from the beginning, is a covered roller hockey rink.
Thank you, Craig. Sam, when we did a design build project and we get the proposals in, what's our obligation and what's our ability to negotiate, if any, with these folks, other than some value engineering that might take some of the things out that we don't see as necessary?
A couple of observations, Mr. Chair. Brianne was given direction by the board at the last meeting, and you all went through a very uniquely important process to review each of the vendors, the contractors, and their potential ability to assist the district. And you came up with a conclusion and ranked the current firm as the #1 firm with whom to negotiate a contract. That is what's before the board this evening. Brianne has asked for some guidance with regard to your concerns or observations regarding that next set of steps. There are several statutes, which I know Jacob has explained to you and we've discussed in the past with regard to what latitude you have. You're not changing the scope of the project. You're not changing the design of the project. You're simply working within the parameters that were interviewed. And each proposer had a different spin. That's not a negative word, by the way, but a different analysis of what to do and how to make it occur. And by your voting consensus, you made a decision as to which vendor, which contractor, which appropriate professional you went with. So to best answer your question, so long as you don't change the overall scope of the work in the context of the actual project that you contemplated and that you engaged the folks before you tonight, you have some latitude and some discretion. If you materially change the project, which is not, I don't believe, what's being asked for by the commissioner, then certainly you can open up the door for discussion for what potentially can be minimized or can be mitigated, as you indicated earlier. But you're within the parameters of the law to negotiate as best you can. And to that extent, that's what Brianne has done and will do as needed.
Well, and negotiate to what degree, since they've given us a firm bid
That is correct.
as a design build, and are we then obligated to accept that as their best offer, and I think what Craig is saying is there the ability to negotiate with this design build proposal, negotiate a lower price, or are we obligated to accept the price that we approved, subject to any items that we might want to remove?
It's the latter. It's removing items specifically.
Okay.
You made a decision with all due respect. You selected a vendor that had the quality, the ability, the professional skill and acumen to build the project. And now before you was just simply guidance being asked for by your director as to how to proceed now to implement your ultimate decision in which you engage this firm, subject to a contract.
Can you clarify that? Did you say you can negotiate the price or you cannot negotiate the price?
The price is now what it is. I mean,
The price is fixed. You can't go down from there.
Unless there's some voluntarism to reduce the price.
Right.
Yeah.
That's negotiation.
Well, but the whole point of the bidding process, when they're doing a design build, and one of the categories that we're looking at is price, they're going to come in at their lowest price for the project while also making money, because that's part of being a company, right? But they're coming in at their lowest price because they know that they're up against other companies at the same time, right? So I think they're doing their best to come in at the lowest price.
Really?
Keep it. Yes.
You really think they're coming in?
They still have to make money, Craig. They're not going to build this roof for free. You're
It's
not going to get it
$4.5
for
million.
free. I get it. It's a huge project. And yes, it's going to be expensive, but it's also within our budget that we set aside, right? So you wanting to cut $200,000 without changing the scope is absolutely ridiculous.
I don't think so. Not at all.
Are you an engineer?
Hang on,
I'm sorry. I think it's a little bit crazy to say, and it's also unfair to the other bidders after you award a bid for the price that they have submitted to go and say, okay, we want it actually lower, but we didn't choose the other lower one based on that.
Right out of the box, they say they have 200,000 contingency.
Contingencies are part of construction projects.
So what?
So that when there's a change order, which there's always change orders on construction projects, Craig, always. You
Why?
can't see Because when you get out to a site, there's different things that they come upon that they didn't know were there, or something. It's part of construction projects, okay? And if we have to have a change order and we have to stop the project because Brianne has to come to us, that delays the project even further. So why not put a contingency in there so that when a change order happens, she can say, okay, the change order needs to be paid so that the project can move forward. And she, without micromanaging our staff, this is part of their job, is to manage the projects, right? So they make sure that the change order is necessary and that it's paid and the project moves forward. That's the whole point.
Regardless of the cost of taxpayers.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yes, that's
Greg,
what-
at all.
Can I interject?
That is not what I'm saying. First of all, the city puts in what, 7 to 10% contingencies for their projects. We're below that, 8 to 10. Sorry, we are below that at 5%. Right? When you have a project at your home, you add 10% contingency to the project just to make sure that you're covering all your bases and you don't run out of money and that you don't put yourself in debt. Right? So contingencies are part of that. Mobilization, part of construction projects. They have to get themselves set up for the project. It's part of a construction project. If you ask any contractor, they will say contingencies and mobilization is part of the fees that they charge.
Great.
So I don't understand. I'm sorry I'm getting so frustrated here, but we've gone over this so many times.
Well, I think I could deserve to respond. I let you talk on the whole thing, but I got to tell you, how do you ever negotiate a car? How do you negotiate anything?
This isn't a car. It's a bid process.
It's multi-million dollars. Why we should spend more than 15 minutes on it, picking it off a picture? That's exactly the point.
We have spent more than 15 minutes on this, and he's gone over how the process works with the state and our
And you just heard him say that you can negotiate on the price, and that is part of this
scope
process.
can't change.
I'm not saying the scope change.
Well, I don't think Sam, did you?
I didn't
You
say
did not say that they can negotiate the price.
price is the price.
The price
That's
is
what
the
you're
price.
working from. If there are ways and means to effectuate potential mitigation of cost and expense, that's part of that process. But the price is the price.
The price is the price, but you can still ask the vendor to reduce the price, keeping the scope the same. I want all the things that they promised us in that design plan. And they promised us in that design plan that they would be responsible for it. Okay, fine. Now there's two parts to it. One is the contract, two is the price. I'm not looking for a scope reduction.
Mr. Ingram?
If I can give the benefit of my experience, when I was in college, I worked for an electrical contractor, and a part of my job was to do estimates. And the way I was taught to do an estimate was you take the square footage of the space, you take the materials you need, there's a formula based on the square footage that gives you the amount of materials. You cost out the materials, you multiply it by the square footage, you get your price. I am 99% positive that's what they do. The contingency, and I'll give you an example. One of the projects I worked on when I was in college, there was a flood, short-circuited the generator, necessitated overtime that nobody was counting on. How do you pay the overtime? You pay the overtime out of a contingency. And that's what we're doing here. If we hold up a project for 2 weeks because Brianne's got to come to us for our approval, and now the contractor is paying his people to be there. They're not doing anything. He's paying his people to be there. He's got a certain corporate overhead, and now all of a sudden he's got no money coming in. We're not paying him for it. He's going to say, well, you know what? I deserve to be paid for that because I had my people there waiting for you. And now we have litigation. And how much is the litigation going to cost us? All right. So that's my 2 cents.
Could I just,
Well,
could I
yeah.
interject?
Brianne would like to have a say-so in this. Brianne, go ahead.
Just quickly, everybody put 200,000 as contingency on their project because that was in our scope. Because we've always had a contingency on our projects, just for unforeseen circumstances. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but And not having a contingency does open you up to lawsuits because of the delays and because of the having to wait on a project, and now they want to be paid for their staff time out there. My understanding is that that has resulted in a lot of lawsuits in public.
May I respond, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
That's certainly a venue where litigation might arise. I don't want to put the public entity at risk, but the answer is that's typically what could happen.
We set ours lower intentionally. The city runs like an 8, sometimes up to 15%, depending on the complexity of the project, but there's always a contingency. We manage our projects. Like last year when we did several projects, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know all those projects were managed and they were managed under budget. We didn't come with change orders for the playground. We didn't come with, I'm trying to think of the different projects we did, but we managed our projects and they stayed within the budgets that were set. Patch reef roof. So thank you. So the goal here would be the same thing. Once it's designed, I mean, if we don't need, if this is approved tonight as it was presented and we don't need $170,000 worth of landscaping, we're not going to spend that money or sign off on that money to go to them. If it turns out that they can get this done once it's designed by WZA and they know that the roof is actually going to be 10,000 less, we're not going to spend 10,000 just because we can. We're going to only spend what is used on the project, is what I wanted to say.
Any further comments? I'd like to call the question of the, Joanne, would you please read the motion?
Sure. The motion is to move forward without any reductions according to the original bid amount with MBR and use the galvanized steel.
Okay. There's the motion made and we've had discussion. Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Ernst?
No.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 to
Motion
1.
passed. Craig, you raised some good points and I don't want to discount that. I think the project that we have is, but I wasn't here when the final interviews were made, and I appreciate the commissioners doing that review in my absence. And I'm happy that we're going to be able to move forward on this. The next item on the agenda is the Patch Reef Park Naylor Board Bid Award.
Commissioners, as part of our budget this year, we adopted a $50,000 line for repairs to the artificial turf fields at Patch Reef. We held a pre-construction meeting. 4 contractors attended that meeting. 2 submitted bids. We received a bid from CSR Heavy Construction for a base bid of $18,750 and then unit pricing at $12 and $15. That's in your packets. We also received a bid from Total Turf Works at $72,500 and a unit pricing. They did not complete the unit pricing that was in the bid form. Tonight, I'm asking for several motions on this item. I'm asking for a motion to reject the bid submitted by Total Turf Works as non-responsive. There was a number of items that they didn't include in their bid submission that are required documents. They did not utilize the required bid form. It was missing several required documents, including the anti-human trafficking certification, compliance with foreign entity laws form, and the litigation history disclosure. The proposal did not provide pricing for nailer board replacement, which is a required component of the work. So tonight, asking for a motion to reject the bid from Total Turf Works as non-responsive is the first motion.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Anybody second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Craig. Any discussion? Hearing none, Joanne, please call the question.
Sure. Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
The second motion I'd ask for is to award this project to CSR for their bid of $18,750 with an amount not to exceed $25,000 should there be other nailer boards. We do have the unit price, so we would spend just that unit price that they quoted for additional nailer boards that may be needed. So an amount not to exceed $25,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Joanne, please call the roll.
Sure. Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ernst, the financial report, please.
Sure. Commissioner Rollins, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the payroll and invoices in the amount of $2,896,968.44.
Second.
Been seconded. Was it Commissioner Wright?
Oh,
Or Susie. Joanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Brianne?
Commissioners, just a couple items to update you on. The construction at the community center is underway to prepare that facility for the CAP program. I'll work on getting some photos this week to kind of share with you as the progress happens so you can see the facility getting its renewal. Staff at Gumbo Limbo is planning to attend our next meeting to present about their upcoming new programming. And then I also want to let you all know, in case you haven't seen on our social media pages, that Sugar Sand Park is one of 20 parks that you can vote on USA Today as one of the best public playgrounds in the United States. We're in competition with parks in New York City, LA, Chicago. We're one of the smaller cities that has a playground featured. So it's a cool thing for us, and go online and vote. We're going to put a link on our website as well to vote from. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon?
Chair, Commissioners, good evening. The Florida legislature has ended its regular session as of last week. They're done, but they're not done. They haven't adopted a budget yet. And the risk of adopting a budget is, and I don't know the conclusion if it will be reached, is that no issue on ad valorem tax relief or modification was approved in the regular session. The House bills were House bills. The Senate had no bills. There was therefore no bills to generate a conclusion to have something for the governor to consider, to sign or not to sign. The consequence of which is that although there was no ad valorem tax legislation in the regular session, that does not mean that it cannot come up in the special session that may in fact affect fiscal and economic issues affecting the state. At the moment, I'm not aware of any specific new bills that have been filed, but when the legislature is in session, they have plenary power. And what that means is they can make significant decisions. If for some reason there's some element of their discussion which could lead to a bill, it could occur in a special session. I'm not sure when the special session is being called for at the moment, but at the end of the day, the risk of having a special session is the risk of having a special session where there can be decisions made that could impact the state of Florida. Aside from just adopting the budget, which by the Constitution is the sole responsibility of legislatures to pass an annual budget for the state. We will keep you advised as to the extent possible. We're also not aware of any special legislation affecting special districts that would impact this organization. That would jump off the page to us this evening. There may be a series of other bills which we will look at that may have some impact, but we will keep our eyes on that for you as they become bills going to the governor for execution. Remember, the governor has to sign them or let them become law without a signature. He's been looking at bills that come across his desk, but he's apparently not in any great hurry at the moment. So.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Any questions for Sam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Wright.
Yeah, I don't really have much except for, well, the elections happened with the city. And so we have a new mayor and we have 3 new council members. So in order to have a good relationship with the new council, I am hoping once they get all settled in and whatnot, we can, meet with them individually. Maybe we'll have like a meeting with them one time, like us. Which hasn't happened in quite a while, but to introduce yourselves, I think it would be a good idea. I've met a couple of them already, just during their running or whatever, but I think it's a good idea. But I also think I don't think any of us should be meeting with staff. I know there's a new city manager and there's 2 assistant city managers, but I feel like Bob, as the chair, you should be the only one really, communicating in any sort of way, and Brianne with our new city manager as our representation in terms of the things that we're doing and things of like that. I don't think individual commissioners should be meeting with our city managers and talking about possible things that might occur or anything like that. Only things that we know and that we have talked about already are things that should be discussed. And that, we know when you're meeting with him and all that kind of stuff. And, I think that's important as a group of 5.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point, Aaron. And ideally, I wouldn't mind having Mr. Shohei come to us as he said he would, so we could talk as an official body to him on things that we might want to do. And I did I think I mentioned at one point, I did walk up Sugar St. Park with him right after, even before he took the job, and looking for migrant turtles, and we did not see any there. And there was, you know, a lot of underbrush there that, you know, whatever, whether we put softball fields there or not, you know, the property does need to be cleared a little bit because I think it's becoming a fire hazard. You know, lightning is, I remember, has struck in this property near the intersection of Yamato and Military Trail once, and started a brush fire.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a possibility with all the dead debris that you have there. But anyway, I think your point's well taken. Commissioner Vogelsang.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. In my travels and interaction in the community, we've gotten so much positive feedback about the traffic garden, and I'd like to thank staff for making that happen and bringing that into our community. I think it's just random people who don't even have kids, you know, they think it's a great idea, and I'm very impressed. So thank you. And I would like to invite the new city manager to one of our meetings when he can come up for air and take a breath.
Commissioner Ernst.
Sure. Couple things. One is, in my conversations with the executive director, she mentioned that Patch Reef Park, the community center, has been going well, and that model could also be, it's a possibility to consider it for the entrance to the tennis and pickleball center. As you may recall, at a prior meeting ago, we approved $200,000 for design. And she's in a position where she's heard some of the initial conversations. Maybe you could elaborate on that and what you'd like to do.
So I think, and this is really from a financial perspective as far as our budget goes, as we look at projects that may or may not come to fruition, should we lose property taxes? Should we look at reducing our millage rate? Things like that. We had planned to renovate the pickleball and the pro shop and the tennis center, and it definitely needs a different traffic flow. But I do think that there is some budgetary considerations to make, because it could be an expensive endeavor if we were to take on all the things that they want to do. So there's some concern on my part that we may get a design back that is more than we wanted, because we're trying to incorporate so many different changes. And so I think we may want to look at the option. And I know Commissioner Ernst brought this up at a previous meeting, like we did at the community center. You know, if we set a smaller budget, what can we get done for just this amount? And ask the designers to come up with that project as well. Just my concern, like planning on a $7 million investment out there may not be in our budget. Should we look at making cuts? So it's something that I'd like to put on for discussion. I don't think we can maybe vote on it tonight because it's not on the agenda, but it's something I think we should look at.
So the thought process is allow Brianne to, you know, spec out what she can get for $1.5 million to $2 million. And that kind of defines it. Similar to what we encountered when we started with the skate park or the sugar sand roller hockey rink. When we said, oh, go design us something, we got something. They mapped it all out for us and it came back 14 million. We said, we can't do that. We're heading down that same path again here, possibly, if we throw in everything that we possibly want or the city possibly wants. This way, Brianne has a tighter control over the overall budget, and it defines exactly what we want to need with the shell that we have. Using that space. So I don't know if that's something you do here, maybe at the next meeting, if it's something we want to consider.
I think we have to have it at the next meeting on the agenda, but I think it's something that we should look at. Just from the budget perspective, if we're going to be, you know, I know one of our goals this year is to cut the millage rate. We don't know what's happening with property taxes.
So next meeting, maybe address it there. The second item I'd say is on North Park. Is to, as we go back to do the redesign and bid process, I'd like us to consider just separating the east side into the south side and the north side as separate proposals back. And the concern there is we already have Mr. Butters doing some of the infrastructure work, and he's doing the infrastructure work from Jeffrey Street through his property on all that means laying down the PVC pipes and everything going to the other side of it. And when you look at the aerial map, looks like it's more than half of it, to be honest with you. It's a significant amount. So we're asking, to me, it would make sense to either go back to Mr. Butters for a change order to finish that part of the project, or just separate it out so we can compare it as we get into this bid process. Because you could have another person come in and say, okay, they win the bid for both the north and the south, but then there's a dependency with Mr. Butters already there and what he has done. This way, there's no finger pointing. You know that the south side of that park will get done either by Butters only or by another bidder. We separate it out and it's appropriately competitive. I don't know, maybe you can say it better.
So at the
Bring it.
next meeting, I did plan to have the RFP documents here for everybody to look at. And after this meeting, I didn't want to do it before this meeting because I didn't want everybody to think we were going to talk about it or vote on anything tonight, but we have the new specs. We revised the specifications, took out the tunnel and the infrastructure components. We have a bid form and I'll send you guys a copy of that. I'll send you the front end documents and the specifications. There are about 700 pages of specifications, but I'll send you guys a link to look at them if you want. But I think that we can look at the bid form and see if there's a way to break it up so that you would be easily able to compare how much the north side is costing versus the south side, and certainly have some flexibility in our language in the bid documents to award it to different vendors, different contractors, and things like that.
So just have it as an option.
Correct.
Not necessarily bidding north versus south.
Correct. On the bid form that we have,
Right.
We could separate that out. I'll talk to Miller Lake and see if they can just, it's almost separated out a little bit, but some of it, like the fencing, is all the fencing. So they'd have to break out some of that into north and south, but we can certainly look at that. I'll send you what we have put together probably tomorrow morning so you guys can start looking through that stuff. And then at the next meeting, I did plan to have it so we would have a chance to publicly discuss it, make sure everybody's on board before we rebid it final time.
And is it an option to have Butters do the south side infrastructure?
Well, I'll certainly talk to our
Or
legal
that
counsel.
has to be bid out because it's a whole separate project?
We'll look at that.
I think we'd have to look at it and see.
Because I mean, bidding it out all separately, I mean, as like two south side and north side doesn't really make sense to me, because then if Butters isn't what we choose for the south side, then we'd have three separate contractors out there working on one property, right? So on the south side, whoever won the south side bid, on the north
Yeah,
side, whoever
I
won.
think Commissioner Ernst is just saying that Butters is out there now, so why not if there's a way for them to just finish that
Extend
south side
their-
while they're out there,
Right.
and then it's it's all connected.
But
it's
they
all done
wouldn't
by
be
one.
doing like the trails and things like that. They would just be doing the infrastructure part of it.
No, I think he's saying just finish the whole project. Like as you're digging up and putting, then you put the trail on top, get it all done. You're putting in the lighting and just finishing out that south side.
That's your idea.
Yeah, I was just concerned that
Yeah.
they're doing a middle of it.
Mhm.
And then when they're done with it, they're stopping where the skate park is. And then all of a sudden you're going to get a finger pointing when the next vendor picks it up to say, well, wait a minute, they don't have this or that. And then we're having to redo things. I think you want one neck to wring and on that south side to finish it up. That's important you can one accountable vendor for the whole thing, if possible. That's
I
the
think
plan.
I'd like to spend some time with our legal
question,
counsel
if
on it.
that's possible.
We'll talk, and then I can email everybody an update on that.
And then the last thing, just talking about the Boca City elections, I think anyone here can go talk to anyone they want to at the city, whether they work there as a citizen, and a representative of this council, that's fine. But I would also say, this city has gone through a very, I'd say a very dynamic and tough, election about development, non-development, and wherever it is, we have it was a very tough campaign for all parties and a very tight race on a lot of things. That said, the one thing that everyone agrees to is that our parks are beautiful, and the things that we do in the community, the district does, is a strong point for both parties and for all parties. And it's something that we can agree to. And I think it would be beneficial for the district and the city to agree a better coordination, better communication. There's an opportunity there to do more, a healing process for the city. And I think we should have a joint meeting, maybe before that joint meeting, whether it's a master recreation plan or different things, we really need to have a better conversation. And it's an opportunity. So, and I think everyone there would probably agree. We'll go from there, see how it goes.
Yeah. First of all, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thank
Couple of things. First, for my own part, I finally did finish the ethics course. So ask me anything you want about ethics and the Sunshine Law. I stayed away through all of it, I promise. Also, with regard to property taxes, I think we need to have some contingencies in place. So, and not right away, but this is something that when we're talking about the 27-28 fiscal year, it might come into play. So I think we really need to be prepared and know what our priorities are. So I think it's important that at some point we start working on that, have staff work on that, and give us progress reports. Again, not all at one time, but over a period of time. I agree with Craig. We need to have a joint meeting with the new city council to find out what their priorities are and see where we can coordinate and try to get off on a good footing from day one. Also, something else, it's not so cogent now, but I think going forward, I think it might not be a bad idea, like we did when we were talking about the surf park, to have a cone of silence when we're dealing with issues and projects that may be a bit contentious and everybody wants a piece of us. And I don't know if it's a good idea for those discussions to take place in a private setting rather than in a public setting, such as a meeting. So something else to consider. Other than that, again, I'm glad to see you.
Thank you, Steve. Well, I certainly missed the opportunity of being with you guys, but I was lounging comfortably in the TriStar Skyline Hospital in Nashville, Tennessee for 3 weeks. And I'm happy to say that the surgery seemed to go well. I still have a issue with swallowing where I can only take liquids, which is apple juice, applesauce, some smoothies. The issue is the epiglottis is not closing off the esophagus like it should. So I'm in training at the Drummond Center at the hospital to try to regain that memory that automatic reflux is supposed to happen. And in the meantime, I'm dying to have a greasy cheeseburger. But I appreciate Aaron, you pitching in while I was away. And even though I'm still a little rusty, it's great to be back. I love you guys. I love the conversation. I don't take anything away from this meeting that where I'm unhappy with. I want the discussion to be free flowing. I want everybody to be honest and say what they say is on their mind. And we do that. And I think we come to the right conclusions generally. So thank you for putting up with my absence. And I hope that, you never know when you go away on vacation what's going to happen. And I will tell you is that the physical therapist told me one thing. He said, what I want you to do is when you get up, you stand there for a few seconds. Don't go tearing off like you've been doing because you're likely to fall if you're not careful. And so by golly, I have to tell you is that around my office, when I get up, if the drawer beside my desk is open, I'm banging my knee because I'm going to someplace in a hurry. So for those of you, none of you are in the spot where you're going to be risking that anytime soon. But I tell you, be careful, and be aware of your surroundings. And before you take off in a hurry, look what's ahead of you. And I promise you, I'm doing that now. So anyway, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Joanne, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
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 Adjourn.